Hey everyone, this is Pooka bringing you another deck to look at in the Pokemon TCG. This is a concept that's been around a little while, but now it's back in a more streamlined and concise form, and that's going to be a Trevenant Accelgor deck. So let's take a look at these two cards first. The first one we have is Trevenant, a Stage 1 Pokemon. Has the ability Forest Curse. As long as this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, your opponent can't play any item cards from his or her hand. So this is exactly like Gothitel's ability, Magic Room, which is probably one of the most annoying abilities in the game. You can't play item cards when Trevenant is active. So this is a very good way to lock your opponent out of the game, since so many decks rely on item cards so much. So, our first goal of the deck will be to get Trevenant out on the second turn, and really just shut down our opponent's item cards before they can play anything useful. If you go first, this is especially devastating against those Stage 2 decks, since they won't even have an opportunity to play Rare Candy. So we start off, we have 4 Phantump and 4 Trevenant, and then we look over to Accelgor as well. Everybody should know what this attack does by now. It's Deck and Cover. 2 colorless energy does 50 damage, and then the defending Pokemon is now paralyzed and poisoned. And then you shuffle Accelgor and all attached cards to it back into your deck. So the idea here is you use Deck and Cover, you paralyze and poison the opponent so it can't attack or retreat, and then when you shuffle Accelgor back in the deck, you promote your Trevenant, and then they cannot use item cards. So they can't play cards like Switch or anything to get them out of the active spot, and they're just kind of stuck there paralyzed. And you're just trying to do this over and over and over until you win. So that's the basic concept of the deck. We have 4 Shelmet and then 3 Accelgor. We also run 2 Mew EX. Since it has the ability Versatile, it can copy Accelgor's Deck and Cover, so that way you don't have to shuffle in Accelgor every time. You can just shuffle in Mew EX instead. Makes it a lot easier to keep using Deck and Cover every turn. Then we have a line of Electrode. It has Magnetic Draw. Late in the game, it can be difficult to keep getting those Accelgor back into play, along with those double colorless energy. So we have Electrode to allow us to keep drawing cards late in the game, even if an opponent plays an N, to put us at a low hand size. So I think Electrode is pretty important in this deck in order to keep a constant stream of attackers going. We also have a Jirachi EX. Serves pretty much the same purpose. Stellar Guidance allows us to search for a supporter card. So any of your cards that can search for Pokemon can get Jirachi EX, which can then turn into a supporter. So this deck is aimed at being extremely consistent over the course of the game, so that we can use Deck and Cover every turn and try to lock our opponent out of the game. So let's take a look at the all-important trainer section. We have 4 N and 4 Professor Juniper. This is standard in pretty much every deck. We also have 3 Skyla and 3 Colress, since our bench is going to be big a lot. We want to be drawing lots of cards. And then we also have 1 Tropical Beach. You don't really need it for this deck, I don't think. But I'm still going to run one because it's nice to have a stadium, and certain times it can be nice to Skyla for the Tropical Beach, or, get rid of a stadium that you don't want in play. It can be nice to manipulate poison damage if your opponent has a Burbank City Gym in play. That way you can get cute knockouts where your opponent's Pokemon gets knocked out by poison coming back into your turn. That's what a lot of this deck is, manipulating damage so that you get the knockouts coming back into your turn, so they're forced to promote a new Pokemon, and you can lock it again with Deck and Cover. So you have a Tropical Beach, just kind of a standard stadium to get rid of a Burbank City Gym, but we also do run a Burbank City Gym in order to take advantage of the additional damage you can do with Deck and Cover. So those are our 2 stadium cards. I also have 1 Iris in here. This is kind of something I'm trying out. Late in the game, sometimes you just don't do enough damage with Deck and Cover. But with Iris, you could do up to 100 damage with a single Deck and Cover. This can just help to get some extra oomph when you need it. I don't know if this is worth it, but hey, we're going to try it out. From there, we have 4 Floatstone. This allows us to retreat Trevenant every turn after a Deck and Cover. So I like playing 4 of those to make sure we get it in play. We have 1 Muscle Band, which can allow Deck and Cover to do extra damage against anything. and then 2 Silver Bangle, which allows it to deck and cover for extra damage against EXs, which is really nice against something like a Keldeo EX, which is weak to grass. We can deck and cover for 160 damage, and then finish it off with the poison for 170. So Silver Bangle is very, very nice with Accelgor. Then we have a lot of searching cards. We have 4 Ultra Ball and 4 Level Ball. That's 8 total to allow us to get those Accelgor out every single turn. We also have a tool Scrapper just in case Garbodor comes out before we can lock items with Trevenant. Once Trevenant is out and we Tool Scrapper away Garbodor's tool, they actually can't play another one, so they can't shut off your abilities again. So we just need 1 Tool Scrapper. We have 1 switch in case of something weird like a Snorlax blocking our Trevenant in place. So it's nice to have one of those. Maybe a status condition could happen as well. And then a Super Odd, since you never really know what's going to happen with your Pokemon. Maybe you have to have a bad Juniper or something like that. So that's what the deck looks like. We also have 1 Dowsing Machine as the A-Spec card. I'm not sure what the right A-Spec card is for this deck, but I just went with Dowsing Machine, since it's always nice to be able to recover certain things. But without further ado, let's take a look at a game I played with the deck and see it in action, and we'll see how this one goes. So I start off with an okay hand. We got the Shelmet and Colress, which is not good in the opening turns. And we see a Genesect, a Deoxys, and a Mr. Mime. So I'm not really sure what to expect here. This could be one of 2 things. Number 1 could be a Virizion Genesect deck, which is not a good matchup. One of this deck's biggest problems is Virizion EX, since it shuts off status conditions. And that's something I'm really not sure how to deal with this deck. There's probably all sorts of stuff you could add to deal with that, but I'm just trying to show off the streamlined version to get a good feel for the strategy, and we'll see what happens from there. Now I'm just going to level ball here for the Phantump, and just pass the turns as we have the Accelgor, and a Colress for 3 isn't exactly good. Now it also could be a Team Plasma deck that we're facing, which might be a little bit better of a matchup, as we see the Team Plasma Ball for the Thunderous EX. And yes, we can see right away this is a Team Plasma deck, so maybe we won't have to worry about Virizion EX. And when we don't have to worry about that, that's good. To put it simply, that's good for us, since we can paralyze and poison our opponent every turn. That's exactly what we want to be able to do. All right, so let's see. My opponent does me a favor and actually benches a lot of Pokemon. So I'm going to go ahead and evolve into Accelgor. And we'll play a Colress for 5 cards here. Now we got some weird decisions to be making right now. I'm going to bench a couple more Shelmet. I could just deck and cover here and promote Phantump. But, I don't really see a way for my opponent to knock out an Accelgor this turn. It would have to be something crazy, especially after just a Shadow Triad got played on the first turn. So I'm actually going to leave Accelgor active and pass. Now, it might seem a little weird, but I think this is the right thing to do. Otherwise, yeah, if I deck and cover there and my opponent had like a switch, he could have just knocked out the Phantump, and then I'm left with pretty much nothing. So I think the right move there was to just sit there and pass. It doesn't seem like the right thing to do, but I think it was. Now let's Skyla here, and my opponent only has 1 card. Didn't play a supporter, so I'm trying not to play N here to give my opponent 6 fresh cards. That would be really bad. So we're going to Skyla for the Juniper. And now this turn, we're just going to go ahead, put the Muscle Band onto Accelgor, and deck and cover for 70 damage. And I think I'm going to promote a Shelmet. Again, we want to have that Phantump ready in case, we don't want it to get knocked out. We want to have our item lock in place. This has been a very bad start for me, but also for my opponent, so I can't really complain too much. But normally we would like to have that Trevenant out on the second turn, and it just hasn't happened. It's going to happen though. Sometimes, your strategies don't always work perfectly, and you got to find ways to play even when it doesn't work perfectly. But now it looks like things are getting a little better. I got the Trevenant off the top of my deck that turn. My opponent didn't have a switch or anything like that. And we're going to level ball for the Accelgor so we can deck and cover this turn. And then we also have an Ultra Ball, so I'll go ahead and discard the Tropical Beach for sure. We don't want to put that into play. And probably an N as well. And now it's a decision, what do I want to grab with this? And I think I'm going to grab Voltorb, just so I can get the Electrode in play, and we can keep our constant stream of drawing cards going. So there we go, there's a deck and cover, and this is actually going to work out fairly nicely, because, well, my opponent has 150 damage, and then he's going to take 10 more from poison going back into my turn. So all I have to do next turn is pass, and Trevenant can just sit there, and we'll get a knockout from the poison. Now we do see a red signal from Genesect EX there, bringing out the Voltorb. Kind of a strange move there, but maybe just wanted to get an energy in play or something like that. And then just a pass, so my opponent doesn't seem to really have much. Here I'll just go ahead and Ultra Ball for the Electrode, and then we can probably Magnetic Draw here for 3 cards. It might be bad because we might not want to discard some of the cards we draw, but I think this is okay. We got a Skyla. I'll just play that for a Float Stone, put it on the Electrode, then retreat into the Trevenant, and we can just pass. After attaching the DCE to Shelmet, we'll just pass and collect our 2 prizes, and still shut off item cards. And we're not really worried about anything knocking out Trevenant here, right? I mean, what would knock out Trevenant? There's really nothing on the board there. There's just nothing that can attack. So my opponent's just going to promote a Deoxys, and then I will, he's going to attach a Prism Energy to the Genesect EX, and now we're going to try to knock out this Deoxys in a couple hits here. Now I'm just going to go ahead and deck and cover here. I could have Junipered there, but I have another Trevenant in my hand that I want to evolve next turn. So I might as well just hold on to it. And my opponent's stuck with a Deoxys active. There's really no way to get that out of the active spot. He would need to red signal, get Trevenant out of the active, and then play a switch. I think that's one of the only ways. Maybe a Cassius as well. I guess I didn't think about that. That could be another way to get the Deoxys out of the active. But, oh well. So here I'm going to Ultra Ball, and we're going to be looking for an Accelgor and a Silver Bangle right here. That's going to allow me to get that perfect knockout, where Deoxys gets knocked out, coming back into my turn. And looks like we pretty much got it. That was perfect. Got the Accelgor. The double colorless is there already, and then we can get the Silver Bangle, and that is some perfect math right there. Now, unfortunately, I've kind of put myself in an awkward position in terms of bench management. I may have overextended here. I was thinking I would attack with Mew this turn, and then I realized I would get the knockout with the, the Deoxys being poisoned coming back into my turn. So I wish I had another Shelmet on the board. Now we're a little vulnerable to, having our Shelmet picked off by a red signal. That could be a problem we deal with, but we'll have to see. So we see, oh no, a Virizion EX comes down. Alright, this is the one thing I don't want to see. This is definitely a card that can turn a game around. Right? Now the Genesect EX cannot be affected by special conditions. So if I deck and cover, I'm only doing the damage. I'm not actually, doing anything else. So I gotta try to figure out what I want to do here, right? I mean, again, my bench is kind of in an awkward state with the Electrode there, and I got 2 Trevenant. I'm not really having enough space to get a constant stream of Accelgor. So I think I need to grab a Shelmet here and hope that he knocks out one of my Trevenant this turn. That way I'll have enough bench space to just kind of keep going and deck and cover every turn. And then I think I'll be fine. Eventually I should be able to knock out the Genesect. My opponent only has 1 card. I do have this N in my hand, so I'm a little tempted to play that, but he's only got 1 card, so I think he'll probably just have to Megalo Cannon, and that'll be his turn. So, I guess we'll just sacrifice a Trevenant here and pass. You know, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but what else am I going to do here? I can't do anything unless I want to end and give my opponent 6 fresh cards. And I don't think that's the best option right now. So I'm going to promote the Trevenant with no Float Stone, just because it's going to get knocked out. And we'll pass. A Deoxys DX comes out, and oh no, a red signal and an N. Wow, that was a monstrous turn from my opponent. That was pretty darn good. Boy, I was not expecting that. Then we see a Tool Scrapper as well. Now, things can certainly turn around here. That Genesect could certainly just take like 6 straight prizes, and that would be pretty brutal, but, I mean, it can happen. Now, I got a pretty good hand off of my end there, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll level ball for another Shelmet, just to get that down on the board. And then we'll attack with Mew this turn. Magnetic Draw. Got the Accelgor. Now I could Chorus or N here. And I think I probably should have used the Chorus there, but I'm going to go with the N. But this is fine. We got some good cards anyway. I'm going to deck and cover, do 50 to the Genesect, and then promote the Trevenant. So this is looking okay still. As long as there's not another red signal this turn. Then another knockout on... Oh, there it is. Whoops. Okay, so now we may be in some trouble. So this Accelgor is going down. And Genesect and Virizion, this is why these are so difficult to deal with. Now, we do have a little bit of a cushion because of the prize lead I have, but this is getting scary quickly. You can see Genesect's just going to mow through things every turn, especially with that Deoxys EX in play. So I'm not really sure what to do. I got the Float Stone on the Trevenant, and we'll go ahead and put a Muscle Band on Shelmet, and then Magnetic Draw for 4. Now, I do get his Shelmet down, and I could go Jirachi here, and then, you know, search for a Juniper or something, but then we're stuck in that same spot where if I deck and cover and then there's a red signal, I basically lose, right? All my Shelmets are off the board, and Genesect's just going to kind of run through me. So I might have to go for the N here. I don't think I can afford to put Jirachi on the bench. It can also be a big target for red signal later. You know, just getting a free 2 prizes on the Jirachi. So I think I'm going to go for the N and hope for the best. And we did not get the best. But again, we have some time here to get some stuff going. As long as we don't see another red signal this turn. I should be able to get an Accelgor out. And then a Mew maybe if I can draw enough cards with Electrode. You know, we still have some supporters left we can draw into. We do get the Mew here. So I think as long as I get an Accelgor this turn, I will probably win. Right? So I'll go ahead and play out my hand. We'll Magnetic Draw for 4. And, oh no. Oh. That's not good. Boy, I am not sure what to do now. This took a mighty turn for the worst. And just like this is going to spiral out of control. And this is what happens when, you know, your lock breaks down. And this is why Virizion EX is such a problem, along with Genesect EX. Those two in combination just really take it to this kind of a deck. And I am in some major trouble right now. And I'm not sure what I should be doing. So I got, you know, I put down another Mew there, but I would lose to a red signal if I put that Mew down, so I don't think that's the right move. I'm going to try to play as many cards as possible this turn. So we're going to put down that DCE and then drop a switch and then draw 3 with the Magnetic Draw. And okay. So I'm going to go ahead and evolve into Accelgor, and I'm actually pretty upset I didn't... Let's see, if we Iris here, it's 70, 110, and oh no! We're just 10 short of the victory with the Iris. So now what do we do? I'm really upset I didn't get a, you know, like a solid supporter there that would have allowed me to, you know, get a Trevenant in play as well. Now we're in a very fragile situation. I'm going to have to deck and cover with the Mew right here. And now who do I promote? Now, it doesn't really matter. Everything can be knocked out. But we're just hoping that my opponent can't knock me out with anything besides Genesect. And that Muscle Band means he will. Oh no. So he's going to be able to retreat now in Raiden Knuckle and actually knock out the Phantump. And wow, things have definitely fallen apart here. I can't believe it. We were ahead 4 prizes, everything looked good, and then, you know, an N and some red signals and the Virizion EX, and geez, this can just spiral out of control that quickly. And we see the Raiden Knuckle for 70, and now I think this is pretty much over. I can't stop Genesect from using red signal, and that Virizion EX is going to stop Thundurus EX from being paralyzed. And you know, the Megalo Cannon does 120, so nothing in my deck can actually withstand a Megalo Cannon at this point. And boy, maybe this straightforward strategy is not enough. Maybe we need something like Pokemon Catcher or I don't know, Garbodor maybe, something to deal with this Virizion EX stuff. But boy, we were really close, just 10 damage away. If that Accelgor had a Silver Bangle the last turn instead of the Muscle Band, the Iris would have done enough to win. But now it is just not enough. Even if I were to do Silver Bangle and Iris here, that would be a total of 130 damage, and that's just 40 short of a win. Really wish I had a sock right now. Or a Pokemon Catcher, but doesn't look like anything is possible at this point. I think this is pretty much game over. And wow, what a shocking way to lose after being so far ahead in the game. Just the one Genesect kind of ran through me. And you know, a couple bad draws. We really struggled down the stretch. That one turn I missed the big Accelgor, and you know, that's all it takes. All it takes with a lock deck is just one missed turn, and your whole strategy falls apart. So I guess this game, you know, I'm going to lose here, but this game really shows off the strength of the deck, where we were really locking things down at the beginning, getting those knockouts, stopping our opponent from really doing a lot, and then kind of how fragile the deck can be at the same time. And this is just the nature of these lock decks. Either you lock your opponent completely, or, you know, you get picked apart. And we saw a little bit of both. But at the end of the day, I got picked apart by Genesect and Virizion. And that might be the one thing standing in the way of these Trevenant and Accelgor decks. If Virizion Genesect remains popular, I don't see a way for these decks to really win. But hey, maybe they're good against the rest of the field, and you can afford to play it and just say, hey, you know what? I'll lose to Virizion Genesect as long as I can beat everything else. Well, and, you know, well, except for Plasma decks also running Virizion and Genesect. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys learned something. I will certainly have some more videos for you guys soon. This is Pooka from the Top Cut, and I will see you guys next time.